it's Anne. Thanks for stopping by. Do you ever sometimes just want something completely different to tuck into one of your junk journals, maybe into Happy Mail, just something that you don't see every day? I was feeling that way. I've just finished a couple of journals, and as I was finishing up, I just wanted something just a little bit different than the typical journal card and the typical tag. And it's something I haven't done for a long time, so I thought we would make a couple together today. Well, I haven't done them for a long time until like today, because I made a couple today in prep for this. This is an idea that I got years ago from Pam at the Paper Outpost, and I believe she calls it a layer cake. And it is just a really fun little junk journal insert that involves stacking 3 different sized folding journal cards on top of each other. It's super simple, and I thought you might enjoy doing one with me. You start out with some sort of a fairly thin paper. It could be decorative paper, but I'm using dictionary page. I say thin because we are going to be stacking these things up, so I don't want like a really thick coffee table quality paper there, because I just don't want to have that kind of bulk. But what I've done is I found 3 different pages of 3 different sizes and kind of 3 different colorations in their aging. This dictionary page, I've glued this and a piece from, I think this is a German play. I know it's German. I believe it's a play. It looks like some sort of script that is there. And I've glued glue sticks them down onto a piece of coffee dyed paper. And then this other dictionary page that's sort of the middle-sized one, I put on a little piece of ledger paper. And I wanted you to see it from the beginning. Well, not the absolute beginning, because that would be tearing the pages out of the book, but I wanted to give this glue a chance to dry before we got to it. So let me just sort of trim these down, and we'll start to build our layers in our layer cake. It's so easy. So easy. I don't know why. It's been a while since I've done one. It gives you lots of journaling space, 3 separate little journal spaces there. And if you're a longtime viewer of Pam's, I'm sure you have seen it. If not, or if you've missed it, I want to make certain Pam gets credit, because it is not my idea. It's just one that I was very grateful that Pam introduced to us. And I know I first saw it because I know I have some in my stash that are from way before my own YouTube days, my own YouTube publication days. Boy, no sooner did I start filming than the air filter here in the basement turned on. I was cleaning earlier, so I probably kicked up a little bit of dust in the air. I do like to have an active air filter in my craft space. Let's see, I think I'm going to trim the margins off as well. This is something that is very forgiving in terms of size. I do want to make certain, though, here before I go to trimming too much, I want to make certain that these will remain different in size. Yes, I can trim this little one down to kind of make it a little bit smaller than it is right now, which is what happens when you trim things down, isn't it? That was brilliant, Anne. There we are. Okay, now I think I'm going to get out my bone folder, and here's all we are going to do. There's going to be a lot of inking in a moment, but I'm just going to be folding each of these this way so that they'll open, it's going to be horizontal this way, and when you open it up to write in it, you'll open it this way rather than from the side. You could certainly do it the other way. But I have found when I have made them over the years that I just tend to like the aesthetic better when they open, you know, that way. I'm going to do the same thing here. And I might trim this down just a little bit. I was hoping that this would be, yeah, there's a little bit of cracking there, but not too much at the top. And let's fold this the same way. I'm going to give a quick measure to this to make certain that it's something that could still fit nicely. They fit nicely in a, yeah, a little under 5 and about 6.5. That's the perfect size. So basically I'm going to be stacking them like this, but I'm going to do just a little bit of trimming here. Just to kind of improve the proportions and get rid of a little bit of that extra text at the bottom of the page. Do we like that? Yes, there's enough of this showing out. And here's our German play. I think I want to cut that off about here too. Next we'll be doing inking. There is a lot of inking with this one. So you can see how this is going to form. I'm pretty happy with those proportions. They'll stand out more once I've done the inking. It'd be nice to use with magazine page, with calendar pages. Now this piece here is going to be glued down, so I'm not going to worry about inking this side, but I'm going to ink all along the inside because we want this to look like it's been around a while. If you happen to use an old book page that cracks, because you have moistened it with that glue stick, and if you find it's cracking, you can just get out some washi tape, especially right here, and cover that, and it just kind of becomes part of the design. I think I'm going to do my corner rounding before I do too much more inking, and it looks like I've got my corners fairly well stacked up on top of each other, so I can bravely and boldly round those corners together. Now, as soon as I do that, I'll get one that goes all catawampus, but when I remember, I like to use my corner rounder upside down so I can make certain that corner is seated in there. Yeah, there we go. Okay, back to the inking. Ah! Things are flying. Did I get everything? Yes, I got everything there. Let's go back to the inside. It's nice to vary the paper that you glue for your journaling space, but you don't have to. You could also just try painting a little bit of gesso on the back side of your dictionary pages and make that a little more suitable for journaling. I don't do that a ton. I use gesso a lot, as you know. I don't do it a ton to completely create a new writing space. I use my gesso more for, yeah, there's my front. I use my gesso more for preparing the surface to do a little more mixed media. Now, as I've been inking, this is getting a little cracked at the top, but I really think that's fine. Again, we're distressing this deliberately. We want it to look like it's been handled a lot. And you could do some really fun journaling in a little piece like this, and I have when I've used them in journals before. I'm really glad to have thought of this again, because this is the type of thing that's very easy to mass make. And I could see having quite a few more of these in my stash, as I have in the past. I have so many journals that are on my list to make. So many themed journals. You want to hear some of them? You've been seeing the Vintage Office journal, and actually I made another one that I'll show you in a second because I put one of these layer cakes in it earlier today. Love the Vintage Office theme. Doing a couple was kind of a lot. I may do another one later in the year because I would like to have several for my craft fairs in the fall, but I want to do another mushroom journal. I had so much fun doing my mushroom journal last year, and I may do another couple of those. I want to do a coffee journal. I think that sounds fun, and I have several friends that I think would very much enjoy a coffee journal, and just, you know, something to kind of jot down ideas and, you know, things that, you know, we talk about when we get together for coffee. There we go. Good. Let's go ahead and assemble this. I'm happy with those proportions. I'm going to use my art glitter glue to do this mounting. I believe this is the best white glue on the market. I'm fairly well stocked. You know, honestly, when you use that little metal tip, you can make a little last a long time because you're not over applying. I have been going through my glue sticks like crazy though. Just the sort of the projects I've been doing, I suppose. All right, there is our assembly. Didn't get that quite in the middle. There, I think that's fine. And when we go to use this, we'll pull it out of our journal and we can journal a little bit there. Oh wait, there's more. Oh wait, there's even more. Look at all the journal space. All of the wonderful, wonderful thoughts that are in that wonderful noggin of yours that you can record and jot down. Now let's do just a little bit of decorating. You know, it's a nice big thing, but you just have to decorate just a little bit. I pulled out a few labels. I pulled out some of these kind of super colorful homemade labels that I did. I pulled out a couple of my little vellum packets that have some of my cutouts. You know, since did I mention a books journal? I don't think I mentioned that. That's another themed journal that I want to do. And I have put all of my little book and literary related things, stamped things. I could put one of those on the inside. Maybe that's what I will make this. That's kind of cute. Yeah, I might put that on there, and that's not really even going to need too much else. I just kind of like that. It doesn't look quite as literary. I pulled it off of a community college flyer that had this graphic, and this was on there also. Clearly, this had a literary theme. But I could use this in a book journal, and I could have this on on one page and then this one over here. I think, although this, you wouldn't look at that and go, oh, look, it's a book theme. You wouldn't think that. But yeah, that's a very charming graphic. I'm really glad I saved that. Inking is probably not necessary here, but sometimes just a little bit of ink does finish things off. Should I round those corners? I'm afraid I'm gonna mess it up completely, to be honest. That's not too bad. Of course, never say no. It's not over till the fourth corner's done. Yeah, that one is not perfect, but it's perfect enough. Since I freehand cut this off of whatever that flyer was from Portland Community College, I'm pretty sure I didn't get that 100% or a 90-degree angle. Oh, I love that. Yes, I love that. So let me, and I had not looked in that envelope before I started this video, so I had completely forgotten that that was in there. So I really love this little system of these little vellum packets. And as I've added to the collection, I used the Christy from Crafted by Christy. She had her twist on this kind of filing system for small cutouts was to use window envelopes. So as I've added to it, I've used that as well. Oh, that looks so cute. Let's go ahead and use some of these little things that I'm about to drop on my lap. Those are tiny little books. Maybe I can clean that up a little bit. There we go. I'll put this on the inside somewhere. Stack of books. I do have some book stickers. Clearly I have some book stamps because I stamped some things there. I might have to get out the stamps. Yeah, that looks, I guess that's the downside there. There we go. Oh, this will be nice to put into a book journal, won't it? And do I have anything in that little envelope? I mean, might look better just to do some stamping there. I didn't have a whole lot in that envelope. I think this was mostly it. I could get out the stamps and do some stamping there, but I kind of like that. Maybe I can get a little piece of text here to ground it. Oh, I know. How about if I fussy cut this? And then I'll ground it with a little bit of text. And then that's the only simple decorating that we will need to do inside this little guy. Oh, this makes me excited to do a book journal. Do you want to see me work on a book journal? I think I could do some fun ephemera, not only, visually, but, with the types of ephemera that I put in that kind of do a riff on them. On the whole book theme. Okay, now this little piece of dictionary page that I just happened to pull out. I love that it happens to have the words humanity. Humanity, humanize, humankind, humanly, and human nature. Yes, that is where that belongs. Yes, yes. That's why we read, to learn more about humanity. To become better members of the human race. Well, that was serendipitous, wasn't it? Just that little piece of page that I literally had yanked out of a dictionary half an hour ago. And let's put this little book right on there. And that's nicely decorated, simply decorated. There we go. Yes, I do like that. That was just a little gift that came along. All right. Look how quick and easy that little project was. I might just do a bunch more. And how cute is that going to be tucked into a book journal? Looks like I got a little bit of smudging there off of something. That is fine. Again, this is meant to be meant to appear like it's really been used. How would this actually look in a journal? Well, let's have a look inside. Another one here. I'm going to put my little literary pieces back in their pouch. A little cute out of a book, front of a bookstore. That's where that belongs. There we go. Oh, so happy I ran across that. Now, here is where I did put the other one that I made earlier today. This is my second vintage office journal, and I won't do a whole flip through because, you know, you've seen, you know, a lot of this type of stuff earlier. But let me find, where did I put that belly band? Here it is. This one's a little bit larger, but look how nice that fits under a belly band. And I lifted up this flap to go just over the top of the belly band, and it just sits so nicely in there. I think that would be really fun to just have a delightful surprise in there. And here's this little layer cake. Got a cute little business gal there. That a little bit of businessy paper with a bunch of those numbers. I haven't put anything on the inside here. I could put some postmarks or something like that. But room for lots of nice journaling, lots of observations, and maybe reflecting on humanity and how that plays out in a vintage office sort of setting. So I hope you enjoyed this. Get out those thin pages and do a little folding and a little bit of inking and a little bit of embellishing and make yourself a layer cake. We'll see you soon, guys. Bye-bye.